Is there any formula to determine uh, quantities? So do you look at the number of emails that you have?
Mm.
Because the worst thing, kind of as you mentioned, is overproducing
Yeah.
and having things just in your garage.
Yeah.
So if someone was to ask you, hey, how many should I make? How do you go about that?
Well, I mean, we run campaigns to determine it. So
Yeah.
our campaigns are going to know. You'll know that you've sold 175 CDs and
And then you go and
100
produce.
vinyl. So
Yeah.
you make 300 on top
That's
of
right.
that. You also want to play a margin game a little bit. I would look at how many have I pre-sold,
Mm-hmm.
how many people have expressed a desire to get it, and then I would look at how many shows you've got,
Mm-hmm.
and just sit there and say, right, I think I can sell 10 to 15 per show.
Mm-hmm.
So the nice part is that there's an entire independent economy based around this. So
Mm-hmm.
CD Baby and disc makers do a really good job of, like, they can make you a batch run of 100, or they can make you 300. I also like the fact that if there are 4 or 5 of you in a band, saying to each member, we got to sell 250 of these per person.
Mm-hmm.
And making 1,000.
Yeah.
Because the price point break you get is pretty significant.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, just look at. There's no real rule of thumb, because you never know. If you know that you're going to open up for a big band, then you might want to sit there and make sure all of you are by the merch table. Make sure that
Mhm.
you're all ready to
Yeah.
sign. And tell people from the stage, we will be back there after the show. We'd
Yeah.
love to hear from you.
Yeah.
It crushes me when I'm at a gig and then there's someone at the merch table. They're standing there. They're not you. They're not.
I know.
You know.
But my favorite thing is there was a band called Monotonics. I don't
Mm.
know if you remember them. They were, I think they broke up, but I saw them at South by Southwest. They were very famous for playing a live event and actually like kind of destroying the venue that they were in, hanging from the rafters, kicking
Yeah.
over beer, that sort of thing. But they were fantastic. Sounded kind of like Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And great stuff. Guitar player, amazing. The second the show was done, guitar player hustled back to the merch, and it was the guitar player that was doing it. So you get to
Yep.
meet the guitar player, have him sign stuff if you want.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
No, it's huge, and I've seen like Rachel Yamagata. She after the show does her thing, and then she's right back at the merch table,
Yeah.
and there's a line to get to her.
Yeah.
And this is something that like, if you're not comfortable with this, then you have to find another way.
Yeah.
Because there isn't, and I say this to musicians all the time. The music, when you've made it, whether you like it or not, becomes free. So when you think of merchandise, you're saying to someone, you have to, in your head, you have to convince them that the experience of meeting you will add a value to it that makes it worth $10 or 15 or $20.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that the value of music has changed. It's the way that people access music that has changed. That value proposition is different. So when someone shows me a piece of vinyl, they'll say, this will sound better than the MP3 version on a streaming service. So my thought is, I want the better version.
Mm-hmm.
This CD was recorded at top level, mastered by a great mastering engineer. Therefore, it will sound better than the compressed version you're going to hear in your streaming service. So it becomes a quality issue. And then, of course, I signed it. Or I signed it, and then you've got the fan holding it up, taking a selfie with you.
Yeah.
That's a real important element. And it's not like these things sound trivial, but they're really not.
Oh, yeah.
A thing that artists forget is what you do as an artist is fascinating to people who don't know how. And so what's interesting is when there's that fan who's looking up at you and going like, just losing their mind, in the same way that as a musician, you'd look up at a musician you admire and go, how do they do that? Fans do that. And so the physical manifestation of what you've created is important to them if you give it value.
Mm-hmm.
If you just give it away for free, it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
There is a perceived kind of like, well, whatever, just throw it out there. If it's just like, yeah, check out my SoundCloud page,
Mm-hmm.
so what?
Yeah.
That's for everybody.
Yeah.
The moment of like, we made this, it does have an importance, and fans respond to your respect for your art, and they respond also to your disrespect for your art, which is, just check it out on Spotify, man. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what? There's a million other things. There's 20 million other songs I could check out on Spotify.
Right.
And so look at the merchandising as a way to create affinity for you as an artist, and express when you're making it why you did it. There's nothing more. There are certain campaigns. I remember we did one, and the artist said, "I want to do a double vinyl at 45 RPM." you got 78, 45, and 33. And 33 and third is traditional vinyl. And he said, I want to do this album on double vinyl at 45 RPM because it's got upright bass. And so the only way I can get the maximum bass out of it is to have wider grooves cut on a 12-inch disc. And you listen to the record and it sounds incredible. So people were buying it because they knew that the digital could never equate to what that was going to do.
Yeah.
And it's not, and digital fanatics will be like, no, it doesn't work that way. But it's true. If you go analog to analog to analog and you cut down into those, it sounds incredible. And I've got it, and it does sound incredible. I got 3 copies of it.